Alright, we are back with another video today. I'm more or less going to be talking about some very long-term ideas when it's talking about, well, how the Bitcoin bottom may form and sort of what may be happening over the next few months. So right here, as you can tell, I got my my levels right here, and I don't know why I got this all the way down at 3,100. It should be at 3,800. I was maybe talking about how I don't know, it was some sort of idea that I was discussing about in a video, but it was talked so horribly wrong that I had to restart it. But right here, I'm going to be talking about Pi cycle bottoms, and I'll also be talking about some other indicators and kind of how we are reacting on the daily time frame to this parabola that I was talking about. We were at the major inflection point the last time I was talking about, but it looks like we are failing the test of breaking out. We are not breaking out just yet. We had the major inflection point right here, and we got up to the inflection point, but it looks like we are rejecting from this parabola. So it looks like, and it kind of makes sense why we would get rejected. I was talking about right here on my Twitter page, looking a while back, that where was it? It was somewhere in here. I said, don't get excited about this parabola until this parabola fib level in 200-week moving average confluence gets claimed with conviction. So I was talking about, as we are rallying, that we are still in parabolic dump mode. With parabolic dump mode, we cannot call the bottom at all just yet because we are still within this parabolic trend. And it looks like we came up to it with confluence right here. We got to the confluence point, but we weren't able to break above the confluence point. So we got to the confluence point on the daily. It looks further back on the weekly because the weekly is a bit I was doing all this on the weekly time frame, but then I zoomed in a little bit on the daily time frame, which is the furthest I'll ever zoom in. Actually, maybe the 4-hourly, but I don't really pay attention because I don't really trade short-term time frames at all. It looks like we're getting rejected from here. It looks like we did double doji, and it looks like we could be coming back towards 16K. So honestly, what my two scenarios are, I honestly didn't think this was going to be likely. I was not calling this at all. I do not think it will do this at all. We're going to probably reject from here. And we are probably going to go and maybe make another leg lower. Honestly, what my base case is right now is that we're going to 16K right here, right at this point. So right here, it's got confluence with this 0.5 fib level and this daily support right here. This daily support right here. And I could see that happening. There's confluence with the fibs and the daily support and also the 300-week moving average right here. But the other confluence it's coming with at this specific level is that the Pi cycle bottom is coming very, very soon. It looks like the Pi cycle bottom is coming to a close, and it looks like we are crossing over. So this could be a bullish case that we could be seeing the bottom very, very shortly, and that we could possibly, when the Pi cycle bottom drops, we could be going all the way down to 16K, which from right here is about a 20% drop. So I could see some like this occur, and it's pretty significant. So I'm actually accumulating cash right now, and I'm going to deploy not at the Pi cycle bottom. I'm going to deploy when this trend line breaks, when this parabolic trend breaks. So I did cash accumulation right here in this sort of range, around this range right here. I was doing cash accumulation because market structure was breaking. And I deployed the cash at this area right here. This sort of area when we were getting down towards this thing. I was deploying quite a bit of it right here. I deployed some here, but then I scaled in and I deployed some right here. I deployed about 80% of that cash. But now I'm reaccumulating cash again using my job that I'm working at, doing jobs. And I'm planning on deploying some of that cash again and in this cash accumulation was more intense. I still accumulate Bitcoin weekly, so I accumulate either 20% Bitcoin, 50% Bitcoin, or in this case, when we were consolidating right here for a little bit, I was actually accumulating with my cash accumulation, with my accumulations, 100% Bitcoin. But here I'm doing a 50-50 split right now as we're speaking. I did a 50-50 split this week for Bitcoin and cash. And honestly, maybe I should have done a 50-50 split Bitcoin earlier, but these are weekly accumulations, so it wouldn't have made that much of a difference, or it actually might have. But I'm kind of reaccumulating a little bit of a cash position right now, getting ready for this sort of drop and this trend line break, something like that. That way I can take advantage of some more forced selling. So I already took advantage of some of this forced selling right here, and I want to take advantage of this forced selling, or what would be even better, what I'd actually like is something like this. This is what I'd love. I'd love something like this, but it's not my base case at all. But I'm just gonna wait and see how the parabolic, how we react to this parabola the next time we go through. So as you can see right now, we're sort of failing the test, and it looks like we might be coming down towards here. And what we could actually see towards this potential bottoming formation right at the pi cycle bottom is we could see a daily bullish divergence right here. It looks like we're already starting a daily uptrend on the RSI, but it looks like we could be coming back down, and maybe when we get to 16K, we'll do something like this. And we'll see that bullish divergence right here, kind of like this. Yeah, bullish divergence like that, and then we'll just consolidate some more like that, maybe rally towards the end of the year, and then I don't know, do some sideways stuff. But the pi cycle bottom isn't the only thing that could make me pretty fairly more than likely that the bottom is coming fairly soon, probably within this month. But some other things are kind of showing out some on-chain indicators, some cool, nice little puny indicators, except some of them have already been broken. So this guy, Rural, is a guy that's kind of agreed with me. I was bearish with him since 48K, but he's showing some of these metrics are kind of showing that we're in accumulation zones right now. Right here is showing that MRVZ score is showing in accumulation, and it was showing at distribution area right at the top as well. This one right here shows that we are in capitulation right here. As you can see, we have seen capitulation. Capitulations could last for a lot longer, don't get me wrong. They can last for they can get even more ugly, but what we're seeing right now is capitulation, and there's no denying that it's capitulation, but capitulations could always get worse. Capitulations could look like this. It could go down even more, but it's fast-paced selling, and it looks like it's a blow-off bottom, but the blow-off bottoms could go on for a lot longer, and that's why it's showing up in this parabola formation right here. It's just straight down, which is capitulation right here. This is capitulation. We could capitulate even more, but and anyways, it's showing that we're in a capitulation stage right now. This one right here, reserve risk, shows that we're in the green, except I don't really like this reserve risk because it's kind of been a downtrend like that. And I think, who is his face? Nakamoto Lisk talked about how maybe we could just see like a downtrend kind of like that. And except you can't really have a downtrend where the 2018 bottom is not shown to touch that trend line. But I don't really like the reserve risk metric that much because it's not really showing the top. It didn't really outline the top very well for this one. So honestly, this model could be broken. All models will eventually break. It's just a matter of time. The realized price, it looks like throughout Bitcoin's history, The reserve risk is always a great time to be accumulating when we're below the realized price. Right here, as you can see, right here, have been excellent buying opportunities. And there's even more. This one right here, I don't know how people come up with this crap, but it's timed tops, and also when we reach these orange lines, it shows the bottom. And the orange lines look like they're coming right at, they actually kind of look like they're coming in at around like 12K. So actually, no, it looks like 16K. And that could mean that, that this could kind of come in confluence with the fact that we could be coming down towards 16K towards the pi cycle bottom timing. And right here, that's the pi cycle top. That showed that the pi cycle top was the top right here. And the Mayer multiple, whenever it's below the Mayer multiple, it's been a solid time to accumulate. Except if you only use this, saying that if it goes to the bottom and it consolidates, you've been calling the bottom maybe at 30K, so I don't know about that Mayer multiple. And this one right here, I don't really see that much use for this one as well. But there's so many things that are showing the bottom right here. We also got, I kind of like this idea from Pentoshi. This would actually be an awesome scenario where we just consolidate for 2 years at the bottom, get some time to accumulate. That'd be amazing right here. I was showing the ETH Bitcoin, and the long-term chart looks extremely bearish. Yeah. Not looking. I actually did call this local peak right here. I've called this a local peak maybe. And that's why I've been accumulating cash recently, because it doesn't look good. Here's my... Where's that other tweet that I sort of... It was like this tweet talking about bottom signs. This is the idiotic account that I'm talking... I do not like this account. Yeah, Mr. Anderson said it good right there. That was me debating with Hexicans. With Hex people saying that their garbage was worthless. A Ponzi scheme. Where was that? This is pretty funny. I'm trying to find where that tweet was. Like the signs of a bottom. It was somewhere. It was somewhere. Where was it? It was a tweet that was showing like signs that of bottom signs that an OG was talking about, and we got about 10 out of 14 of them. Where the trash is that? So much garbage. More talking trash about that guy. Where is it? It was before July. It was much more recently. It was much more recently. I think it might have been, today is the 10th, so it might have been somewhere along here. I think it was this week. I think it might have been that day, because I remember... I think it was after Azadine. Oh, right here. Perfect. So we got these signs for the bottom by this gentleman right here, Jack Newald. He's a pretty good account, and it shows about some of these factors. We see the big funds getting blown up. We see boredom. We see the loss of retail interest. Retail is not interested in crypto anymore as of right now. Social media, I don't think is actually that quiet. I would actually kind of discard that. We do see some Web 2 integration still. We see some. It hasn't been several months, so it's not sold there. It's not that solid. It's not that silent. The long only funds sell to meet their redemptions 3AC. People still show up, but as you can see, a lot of these things that contribute to a bottom, all this craziness that happens, it looks like there's 10 out of 14. So this is showing that it's a capitulation event, and it looks like it's contagion as well, mapping out crypto contagion. Any kind of details them out here. So that kind of is another thing that it could be bottoming potentially very soon. Yeah. It does look like some bottom things right here. The only thing is I still see this garbage. This garbage is worthless. I don't know what the garbage this crap is. It is completely worthless. But going back to the video talking about the Bitcoin chart, the only thing that could kind of show that this isn't the bottom is if the stock market gets extremely bearish. Who knows how bearish the stock market can get? This is probably the only thing that could lean towards the bottom not being in. If the stock market does crap like this, or just accelerates to the downside like that. Well, maybe not like that. If the stock market does something like this, Bitcoin is probably going to do something like this. Maybe not that low, but Bitcoin is definitely going to go to 10K, at least, if the stock market looks that bearish. If not something like that. That could happen if the stock market does something ridiculous like that. I'm not betting on it at all. I do not think that is the case. But this is why I'm waiting for the parabola trend to break. Because if the parabola trend doesn't break anytime soon, it doesn't matter how these on-chain indicators look if the stock market is super duper 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 bearish. If the stock market is literally like 2008, we're going back down to the March 2020 lows. I do think that Bitcoin, if the stock market goes to the March 2020 lows, we are probably going to at least 10K, if not even 7K. I think that 7K would be a level that Bitcoin would probably go to if the stock market does something like 2008. So that's the bear case. The bear case is if the stock market does something like 2008. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that you really have to, that I'll kind of spread a little bit of hopium for, is that 2008 style crashes are very rare to see. 50% drops are not common at all in the stock market. It's only happened once in here, back in 2000, 2008. The only other time after that was, and let's go to a monthly. Let's go to a monthly. The only other time after that was the 1970s. The 1970s dropped about 50%. And the only other two times was the Great Depression right here, where it dropped by 80%, or right here when it dropped by 57%, 60% right here. But you want to know something, though? You want to know something about those crashes? There's only been three decades, three separate instances where we've had macro corrections, and I consider this a macro correction, where we dropped by 50%. There's only been three of those. It's very rare, and the stock markets occurred for over 150 years. And yeah, the S&P 500's existed since 1874. And if you really want to bet on the stock market doing something like that, I do think long term, very very long term, we're actually going to zero, or at least to the 1970s lows. I think long term will crash at 99% some point, but I don't think it's now. I do not think it's exactly now. Those are rare. I'm not betting on that whatsoever, and so many people are betting on it. And I don't think the macro looks bad enough to where that has to happen. I'm not one of those people that says everybody's bearish. I'm bullish. I'm not one of those people at all. I was pretty bearish right here. That was the time to be bearish, long term, or much longer term. Right now, people are even talking about like a greater depression right now. People are saying that we're going to do something like this. We're going to go below the 2008 Great Financial Crisis lows. I do not see that happening. I don't even see a 50% correction coming. I think a lot of this is way overblown. I think that we can go maybe down to 3,200. I think 3,250 is where we could go to, and if we go to 3,250, I do think that Bitcoin would probably go towards 16K. Maybe, and maybe when we get that final leg down to 3,250, we'll create a higher low, something like that, when the SPX makes its lower low. But I am not at all, I do not think that 2008 will happen. That's the thing. 2008 type crisis is not my base case. It's very, very rare to happen. It only happens once every 30 years. It took about literally, how many years from 1929 to the 1970s? So this right here, between the 1990s or the 1920s and the 1970s, that's 40 years. So it took 40 years to go from here to there. That was a 40-year period. From here to here, it took about 30 years. So it took about 30 years until the next crash happened. I'm not betting on this for another stock market crash. I do think the next one would be absolutely devastating, potentially permanent, whichever next major top that may be. But I don't think that major top will occur until the 2030s. In the 2030s, when people say that countries can just deficit spend, that they don't have to worry about defaulting anymore, and the debt to GDP gets above 200%, that's when I could see us doing something like that. But that is not now. I do not think now is the perfect storm for a complete collapse of that magnitude like 2008. They're super rare to come by, and that's why I'm more leaning towards either 16K being the bottom, or slightly less probable but fairly decently probable being 11K as well. That's why I have 11K as my worst case scenario, because right now I am not completely expecting a 2008 crisis to happen, because it's rare. It's rare. It's not common at all. There's literally like the chance of a year like that happening is literally is like 5%. It's less than like 5% chance of having a year like 2008 or like 1929. Trying to predict those is pretty much, or trying to anticipate those all the time is fool's gold. If you were so scared about this, you would have missed out right here. Right here, you've been shorting right here, right here, right here. Everybody's talking about 1929 right here. Even though that the macro isn't the greatest, it's kind of reminiscent of the 1980s where we crashed by 30%. I could really see a 30% crash is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing something like this. This is what I'm really seeing. I'm seeing a 30% drop. How much was this? Was this 30%? Yeah, it was about 27%. That's sort of what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing anything where it's going to be a crazy 2008 level, because it's rare. It's very, very rare. And that's a good thing. that's all I really have to get at. Basically, the bullish case is that there's a lot of on-chain indicators that are showing that we are potentially bottoming right now. And the bear case is that we could be experiencing 2008. We'll go down to these much lower prices. Yeah, that's about it. And ETH Bitcoin, I'll talk about ETH Bitcoin. It looks like we are done with the redistribution phase right here. I think we got another leg lower. I do think that as Bitcoin consolidates, I think that Ethereum might go to 650. I'm actually very, very bear on Ethereum right now. That's all I really have to say for this video. I'm going to be done talking right here. Yeah, because Ethereum may be going down to the November consolidation level right here at 650. That's all I really have to say for this video. So yes, bye.